Okay, so as we announced, the topic would be to discuss the customs of Rosh Hashanah. We have many customs, not only during Rosh Hashanah, but the 10 days from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur. There is quite a few of them that are also very strange, and we'll try to understand each one of them. So I will mention the simanim, all the special food that we have on the table of the Seder, the night of Rosh Hashanah. This itself is a big question. As I raised on the chat, I said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu usually wants you to receive certain blessings, to receive a sweet year, a new year, a successful year through your work, working on yourself, doing teshuvah, praying. You pray Hashem gives you what you need. That's written in Torah. That's the way Hashem wants everything to happen. But to tell yourself, I will eat an apple, or I will eat this this piece of leek, or this or that, and that will be for me a good year, it's a little cheap, right? What does it represent? Kadosh Baruch Hu does not encourage that, generally speaking, in Torah. And maybe it's even prohibited. So we'll go on few ideas. Is it prohibited? Maybe yes, and we'll see that in Torah there is very strict terms against that. Against Erev Tov. So we will see that in Torah sometimes we have very strict terms against things like this, to make certain actions, and says, okay, today I don't going to go on business with this guy because I saw a black bird. That's clearly a violation, one of the violations of the negative commandment of the Torah, lo tenachashu. We're not allowed to do that. So why on the positive side I am allowed to do that? Why I could eat a piece of apple with sugar, with honey, and saying, that will bring me a good year. Maybe not permitted to do so. We have another custom, which is tashlich, also wondering. You go next to the water to do what? So originally it's for the fish. In a place that there is fish, and the idea is you say certain psukim, and you're mentioning that we're throwing our sins. Tashlich b'mtsorot yam kol chatotam. But this is very cheap also. Hashem wants you to do teshuvah, a real regret, not just to say psukim and getting rid out of your sins, or other commentaries explain also is due to the fishes. We want Hashem to multiply. We want to multiply like fish, and not having ayin hara like fish. But this is also not normal. So if a person wants to do it on a private level, no problem. You want to have the certain things against ayin hara, kamea, whatever you want, do it on a private level. But why? It becomes part of Shulchan Aruch, part of the Jewish custom, Ashkenazi, Sfaradi. Everyone follow that. That's a little strange.
Did you say ayin hara like the fish?
No, regarding the tashlich, yeah. One of the reasons is because we're going next to fish, next to the water where there is fish, and we ask Hashem to assign to multiply like the fish, and not having ayin hara like the fish, because the fish is under the water, so there is no ayin that could be placed on it. We have the minhag of kaparot, taking a chicken, you shake over your head, and he's taking your place. Also very strange. Do teshuvah. Don't spend time on that. Cost money. Give this money to tzedakah. Why you have to do that? Rashi in Yebamot, if I'm not mistaken, I will check this out. No, sorry, in Masechet Shabbat, page 81, Rashi also bring a very strange minhag that he found in Tshuvat HaGeonim, approximately 12th century ago, that they used to plant certain beans in certain jars, like 2 weeks before Hashanah, and after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's already growing something, right? It grows very fast. And after that, they would do it for each one of the family members, which means if you have 4 children, you're doing one for your wife, one for yourself, and 4 jar for all the children. And then on the day before Rosh Hashanah, they would take all the plants, the small plants that grew, and they would throw it in the lake, and they would say the pasuk. I guess this is maybe an earlier custom of tashlir that we have to do. Yeah, something like that. So all those things are very strange, and we need to understand why. So let's split our shiur on 3 levels. Okay, the first level, is it permitted to do that? Maybe it's prohibited by Torah. Second thing is, if it's permitted, yeah, of course we'll come to a conclusion that it's permitted because we all do it, so it's permitted somehow. Is it real? Does it have an impact on your life? Eating all those food on Rosh Hashanah and doing tashlich, kaparot, all those things has an impact on your year? If yes, how does it have an impact? Is it scientifically or logically having an impact, or is more in an abstract way, not logical, mystical way? And that's it. That would be the shiur, let's say. Okay, so before going into the core of the sugya, discussing all the commentaries, etc., I would like to read with you a piece of Gemara. Very interesting piece of Gemara. This piece of Gemara appears twice in the Shas, in the Talmud, once here, Daf Yud Bet in Orayot, and once in Kritut, page 6. Twice. The same words, almost. There is one word difference, but the whole paragraph is the same. So, says the Gemara the following: Tanu Rabbanan, our sages taught us, En moshchin et hamelachim ela lama'ayan, which means we used a new king to pour oil. Yeah, we spoke about that the last shiur, b'hashgacha pratit. And here, the today's show, without making connection, I just speak about that now. So they would pour oil on the forehead of the new king. And this practice, we used to do it next to a river. Why? Or a spring that comes from earth. Here in this context, sounds more like a river, because we want the malchut, the kingdom of this new king, should flow and continue like a river that has no end. The Gemara brings a pasuk that when they did this practice in the Navi, so they did it next to the river Gihon, which is one of the rivers we had next to Bet HaMikdash. Amar Rabbi Yamin, here the strange part comes. Rabbi Yamin says, Ayman debay lemeda imasik shatei lo, nitle shraga basa yomed ben Rosh Hashanah leyom HaKippur, bebeta dela nashiv zika. A person that wants to know if he will finish the year alive, which means he will have a full year of life going to the next year, the year after. So he could check it out by taking a candle in a closed room that there is no wind. If the candle continue, we'll explain what it means. There is 2 explanations, Rashi and other commentaries. Rashi says, if the whole oil is consumed, there is no wind, so there is no reason why it should get extinguished, why it should shut off. There is no reason. If the whole oil finishes till the end, so then it's good. You're going to have a full year alive. That's it. The Gemara doesn't say the opposite. Okay, the Gemara doesn't say.
If it doesn't.
Okay. Uman de mevad beiskei. A person that is starting a new investment in a new business, a new project, and he doesn't know if he will succeed. He want to know if he will have success, ila, or not. What does he do? Lirbe tarnegola. He should buy a rooster, special for that thing, for that project. Ishamin v'shafar matzlach. If he gains weight, so it will mean that you will have success. Ayman debay lemefak leucha. A person that will go on a trip, on a journey, and in those days, journeys are very dangerous because you're crossing the desert where there's robbers and wild animals, etc. So the people were not sure if they will make it back. Says the Gemara, "Ubay lemedei chazar v'atele beta ila." He wants to know if he will make it back home or not. Nikum bebeta de Chabara. He should go to a house of Chabara. Chabara was a nation that tens of times we see it in the Talmud. We call it in English. It's a nation that used to live 1500 years ago in Iraq. They had a certain religion to be very careful about fire, not to use fire. They were serving the fire. So therefore the fire was allowed to be lit in when they took the leadership, the government of the area where the Jews lived, next to Baghdad. So they were prohibiting the Jews to use fire. It was a big danger to light fire on Shabbat, Erev Shabbat, the Shabbat candles. It was a big problem to light the Hanukkah candles. That's why from that time we stopped lighting the Hanukkah candles at the front, on the front yard, and we light it indoors. Since then.
How do they cook food, or how do they have hot water?
I guess not as candles. I guess maybe for cooking. So covered fire it's okay, but fire for light it was not permitted. Only one night in the week or one night in the month in their temple. That was their policy.
There's no light then too. There's no light anywhere.
There was no light at night. So Rashi here says a dark house, but I made a connection the word Chabar with other places in Shas. That was, where do we find dark houses at night? In this nation, by these people, by these tribes. So if you light such a candle, which in a very dark place, the night, if you see the shade of your shade, which means sometimes on a certain angle you will see a deep shade, a very thick shade, and a very light one. If you see both, it means you come back.
You come back.
You will be able to make it back home after your trip. Finishes the Gemara, velav miltahi. And all of this, or depending which Rashi we follow here or in the other tract, it's not this. Apparently it's not the same person. Maybe it's a disciple of Rashi that write again, but not exactly how is his master taught it. Velav miltai, and you shouldn't pay attention to that. You should not pay attention to those signs. Dilma chal shadateu mitcha mazale, because paying attention to those things might get you into a depression, and mitcha mazale, you will lose your mazal, your protection, and therefore the Gemara says, do not play with that. Don't do that. So we will see if we cannot do it at all, if we could do it. So there is two explanations. Some of the commentary says, don't do it, never. Some are saying, no problem, do it. And if you don't see the shade of your shade, which means the negative side of it, if you don't, the candle doesn't burn till the end, or if the rooster doesn't get fat, don't pay attention to it. So two explanation how to understand the words of the Gemara, lav miltahi. It's not real. It's not a real thing. What means it's not real? The negative side, if you see it negativity, which means the light got extinguished, the candle got extinguished, or the rooster didn't get fat, etc. You shouldn't pay attention to it, continue your life normally, continue your trip, and engage the business. Or, no, don't do it, never. Because it's not good to play with that. So two way of looking at it on those words. And here is the source of our Rosh Hashanah first meal, or the nights of Rosh Hashanah meals. Amar Abaye, Abaye comes right after in this Gemara, and he says the following: Ashtana amrat simana miltahi. Now that you just saw from the previous lines in the Gemara that signs have something real, are significant. We just said it's not significant. Is it or is not? But somehow Abaye understood that there is some significance in the simanim, in those signs. לעולם יהיה רגיל. Therefore, a person should always have on his table למחזה ברשתה, the Rosh Hashanah, at the beginning of the year. So here the term is to see. In the Kritut, the other part of the Gemara, it says to eat. Kra, which means, how do you say kra? Squash. Rubia, karti, silkat mare. So dates, silka is beets, or the leaves that come from the beets. Karti is the leek, and rubia is tiltan. It's a certain plant, leaves. Maybe it's spinach, or connected to that, from that family. Okay, and after that we have a whole list that Rav Mesharshea gives to his sons, but this is not connected. So this is the Gemara that speaks about Rosh Hashanah food that we all do today. That's the Mina. Okay? So,
This Rosh Hashanah is not how, let's say, Moshe Rabbeinu celebrated Rosh Hashanah, not with the Simanim.
you're saying, no, I guess it came later with the time.
It came later.
Yeah, with the idea, with the Gemara revealing to us that there is certain power in those signs. So Chachamim suggested us to have those food on our table the night of Rosh Hashanah.
I think technically the point that he was making, that it's pretty much everything is in your head. They didn't want you to pay attention and listen to it in the first one that we read, right? And then afterwards he says, you see from here that you should do this stuff, meaning that when you do it and you think about it
Positively, yeah, it will help you. That's very interesting, this point. And just now, to go in that direction, I will start with the Maharsha. The Maharsha is one of the main commentaries that we have at the back of every single Gemara. Saying the standard Gemara, in the back you have Maharsha. He lived approximately 350 years ago. A little more, 400 years ago. Very, very basic commentary of the Talmud. And he questioned the first question of tonight's Shiva. Is it permitted to do that? We know that there is a clear violation in the Torah. Negative commandment, Lo tenachashu, we are not allowed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, you Jews are beyond all those silliness. You're not connected to that. You're connected to me. You need anything, come to me. Follow my mitzvot. You don't do things like the Gemara gives explanation and examples, which are brought also in Shulchan Aruch and in Rambam. A person wake up in the morning and he sees a fox coming out of his right. He says, no, I'm not going to work today. I'm not going out of my house because I will meet a tricky person, a crooked person. That's not allowed to do that. You cannot decide your schedule based on things you see, signs you see, or all kinds of things like this. If the bread fell off my hand, it's not a good sign, I don't eat it. It's asur.
We're not allowed to do
We are not allowed. It's a violation, lo tenachashu. A person that does that, and he does an action based on a sign he got, he will receive lashes, malkut. It's a violation first degree. Lo ta'aseh shebatorah.
So if a mirror breaks, we can't look at it, oh, it's bad luck.
Those things we don't do.
It's not true.
We don't do. So, how could we do those things in Rosh Hashanah night? That's a question. And especially, that's a separate issue, but we had three cases. A person that want to go, if he will be successful in business, if he will make it through the whole year alive, if he will come back from his journey alive. And you're making signs to yourself to know. And this is terrible. So eating food, sweets, etc., that's maybe okay. But making those signs to know about your trip, to know about your year, etc., that's terrible. How could you do that? So here the Maharsha says the beautiful part. He says, look careful. The Gemara says if he wants to know if he will be successful or not, if he will make the whole year alive or not, if he will make his journey alive or not. But when it comes to the action, when the Gemara gives what to do, what tells you what to do, so he says only the positive side. He doesn't speak about the negative side. He says, do this and that. If this happens, you will have a success. Do this and that. If the candle burns till the end, you will have a full year. And the same for the journey. But it doesn't say that if not, you don't gonna make it. It doesn't say that. It says the Maharsha, very powerful idea. He says that in reality, there is no bad coming from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The good, the positivity is absolute in this world. Every person, normally speaking, he has a full year. If Chaz v'Shalom someone passes away, doesn't finish his year, if a person goes on business, doesn't have success, it's because something got wrong in the middle. The normal cycle of things, of life, of success, is on the positive side. HaKadosh Baruch Hu built the world that naturally speaking you're going to finish your year. Everything should go normal. If something happened, it's not normal. It's something that interferes in the cycle. Therefore, he says, since it's something that through your sins maybe something blocked the normal status of life, the normal cycle of success, etc., you have to do teshuvah. And even if you see a sign, even something tells you that you might not finish the year, chaz v'chalila, chaz v'shalom, you shouldn't get upset about it. You just do teshuvah. Just know that something has to be fixed. Because normally speaking, so if someone wants to be curious, this is what the Gemara said according to Maharsha. If someone wants to be curious and kind of being sure that everything is all right, that he will finish his year, he will do this business and he will be successful, etc., there's no problem. You want to be curious to know if everything is all right in your life with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you could do those tests. You're allowed to test. You're allowed to light the candles and to see if it will burn till the end.
So are you allowed to go to a fortune teller?
Ah?
Are you allowed to go to a fortune teller or a card reader?
No, that's a different thing.
Why?
Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you're not questioning people about the future. You're not questioning people that have different powers to know the future. But if you want to just know if the cycle of positivity is on your side and everything is all right, you have no sins that might interfere in your success or in your life, so you could check. And if you see that everything is all right, be bater b'Hashem, have faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you're on the good side. But if doesn't happen, if the light, the candle got extinguished before, don't get frustrated. Not necessarily you will die this year. This is what he says. Maybe you will make it. Why? Because you did something good after. You did a mitzvah, you gave tzedakah to a poor person that it says that Tatzil Mimavet, that could save from death. Yeah, the daughter of Rabbi Akiva were supposed to die. And at her wedding, a very poor guy with ripped clothes came. Everyone didn't want him at the wedding. And she said, no, guys, relax. And she made sure that they brought him food from the wedding. She came home after the wedding and she saw that in the middle of the wedding, when she went to the bathroom or so, she took like a big needle and again to fix her, her hair. And when she did that, it was a scorpion or a snake that was in her back. And she killed it just right after giving the food to the poor person. She understood that this tzedakah saved her from being dead on her wedding night. So there is all kinds of things. So Maharsha says, if you will start being scared and making all your schedule based on signs you see, that's terrible. That's the violation of the Torah. But now we're talking about a person who just is curious to know if he wants to know if he's good relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He has nothing. He doesn't want to worry. He wants to have a certain guarantee that everything is all right.
But are you allowed to ask Hashem to give you signs?
I think so. Yes, that's
Like,
permitted.
oh, this is good for me. Let me get there safely.
Yeah, Hashem give me a sign that this is
This is okay.
that's okay. Yeah, Even though the Rambam, I think in Yesod Torah is questioning that practice, but at a certain level the Rambam agrees that we could do that. Sokli psukach, etc. He said it's okay. Sometimes, like Mordechai Tzaddik, we say that he wanted a sign from Hashem that he's on the right direction. So he asked 3 children, what did you learn today in school? And all 3 said something very positive. So he was very happy that he knew that the decree of Haman will be nullified. He knew that with some teshuvah we'll manage to get rid of Haman. Just because they told him something very positive. So this is the Maharsha. The Maharsha, basically what he did, he told you, do not worry. This Gemara get along with the negative commandment of the Torah is nothing to do. Lot Nachashu is a person that will try changing his schedule based on a sign he saw. Here we are not talking about it. The person will continue doing his business no matter what. Just he wanted a guarantee, so he could make this test. If he wants to have a guarantee that the business will be successful, he could do that. That's the point. But he's not going to change his schedule. And if it doesn't work, if the test doesn't come positive, so he doesn't care. Because he knows that he has bitachon, he will fix it with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he will do mitzvot and everything will go right.
Right,
That is
once-
the perspective of the Maharsha.
Once the person already starts to elaborate on that idea that everything is going to go bad, it's already no good. He's not allowed to do stuff like that anymore, right?
Yes, which means if he goes into a panic and he will change plans based on that he will be in the violation of Lot Nachashu. That comes out from the Maharsha.
Is that considered idol worship? Idol worship, Avodah Zarah?
It's not Avodah Zarah, but it's practice that Hashem totally tell us not to do, clearly in Torah. Okay, so this is why the Maharsha tells us that those 3 tests that the Gemara speaks about it, and of course, eating the food the night of Rosh Hashanah, it's clearly mutar, it's allowed, no problem about it. Okay, so now we know it's permitted. Okay, the next question will be, is it something real that has an impact? Does it have an impact? And if it has an impact on your year to eat those sweets on Rosh Hashanah, how does it work? Is it something logical, mystical? What is the idea behind it? So, you remember I told you in those 3 tests that you do for the business success, etc. The Gemara at the end says, "Velav miltai." It's not real. What is not real? What is not real? You shouldn't test. You shouldn't do it because it's real. It could have an impact. So don't try with that. Don't test it. Or like the Maharsha said, no, it's not real. Only the positive side could give you a guarantee that you will be successful. But the negative side, it's not real. You cannot have a 100% test result. You could have only 50%. If it's positive, you could be confident. But if it's negative, it doesn't mean anything. So you see there is 2 approaches. And here, according to the Maharsha, I guess, how does it work? Why it would give you a certain success in life? To light a candle, to buy a chicken. Why it will bring you? I guess here it's connected to bitachon, which means when you see that the test went on your positive side, you will think that you have bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make it for you good, and just the fact to be in this confidence brings you the success. You know, we spoke about the pill. Yeah, sometimes the doctors give, how do you call it? Placebo?
Yeah, sugar pill.
Sugar pill. So, but this is just bitachon in the doctor, right? It's not. But when you do something like this with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, with something which is written in Torah, you're confident in Hashem that you will make it successful. That gives you a positive energy. Maybe this is the biur in the Maharsha, how it works. Because on the negativity, he agrees that it's not real. It doesn't work. But on the positive, I guess, why positive works, why positive could be a guarantee, it's just the confidence that you have in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's how I understand the Maharsha. Now, there's another approach, and here it's very, very important. the Mateh Ephraim, which is one of the very, very famous commentaries that lived 300 years ago, Ashkenazi rabbi, very, very known. He explained mainly Orach Chaim, the part of the daily duties of Shulchan Aruch, and he's very, very known for halachot of Kriyat Torah, and also for the holidays custom. He's an expert in it. Ashkenazi holiday customs, and even some Sephardic he mentioned, because he researched a lot the customs of Jewish people during the holidays. And he speaks about kaparot, and he says, it's silly to think that you're taking a chicken and you shecht it, and he will take your space. If you are supposed to die, he takes your... Why? It's not serious to speak like this. So our Jews do it for over 1,000 years, the minhag of kaparot. So he says the following: we cannot say korban because it's prohibited to bring a korban outside the temple. It's a big violation. So to say on the kaparot it's a korban, it's a big problem. And one of the reasons we take a rooster is because the rooster was not allowed to go inside the temple. So we want to detach the idea of the korban from kaparot. So what is the reason of kaparot? He says a very easy answer. He says, we want you to see the shchita of the kaparot, to think that you might sin to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you are deserving that, and just seeing that brings you to Teshuvah. Okay? So it's one idea. Later, I will tell you another idea that I found by thinking about Avelut, Yom Kippur, Kaparot. We'll discuss that idea later. Similar to that, I found the Shalah, Shnei Luchot HaBrit, a big tzaddik, big Mekubal, Ashkenazi Mekubal, one of the master of Kabbalah of the Ashkenazim, but also a big scholar in everything. He lived approximately also 400 years ago, 450 years ago. And he says the similar idea, that all the food of Rosh Hashanah is just simanim, like the Gemara says. And he used the word simanim to say that it's signs. What's a sign? What's a sign? It's a reminder. You have a sign, you know that you have to do this. Yeah, you have a paper on your desk, it's a sign with a certain symbol, and you know, oh, I have to do this today. So this is the food that we have on the table of Rosh Hashanah. Not that the actual eating of the food will help you. It will remind you the night of Rosh Hashanah to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for these type of things. To have a sweet year, to be at the head and not at the tail. It will remind you to ask certain tefillot. So the main idea is to the tefillot. Very similar to this idea, the Tikkun Tefillah is another sefer. Says the idea, he says that all those food, slightly different. He says, is strange actions that you don't do it during the year. Just like kaparot is not something that you do during the year. It's something that you do once a year, and then it brings to your consciousness, oh, something is different today. What is different? Oh, it's Rosh Hashanah. Oh, it's Yom Kippur. Now is the 10 days that I have to do Teshuvah really, because those days, all my parnasah is depending on those days. My life is depending on those days. Everything. My family is depending on these days. I have to do Teshuvah. So, one's using the Yei Ratzon side, that we have to, it's reminders to say blessings and to ask Hashem for this. And the other says, no, it's more on the idea of Teshuvah. It's to make unusual things, strange things that will remind you, oh, we're in a period of Teshuvah. We have to behave. We have to take on ourselves good achlatot, good resolutions. Same idea. Basically, the food have no impact. It's more reminders. That's the common point both of them says, with a slight nuance, small nuance.
So it doesn't mean that if you do the cutting of the chicken kaparot that you took your
It doesn't take your sin away. It's just for you to realize that you have to do teshuvah. That's the minhag of kaparot.
So is it better to do
According the Tikkun Tefillah. So tzedakah, again, here the Tikkun Tefillah says something nice, more than the the Mateh Ephraim, in this point is better, or the Shalah, which means he says tzedakah you give every day. Yeah, you have a school that is in needs. You have a person which has a daughter to marry, and you give him $200, $500. So you do that every day, or not every day, or every month, or every. But kaparot, you don't do it. So just to see how we slaughter a chicken, that brings you certain, emotionally awakeness. And that's why that will bring you to Teshuvah.
So what do you do personally? You do chicken? Or
Yes. This is Minhag Yisrael. The widespread Minhag of Am Yisrael is to do on chicken. Yeah.
So what's the proper way of doing it? You buy one rooster for the males,
And
or separately for each child, separately?
yes.
Separate one
Yes.
for each one?
Yes. In the olden days that people had no money, or they had not enough access to chickens, so they would do all the males with one, But Baruch Hashem, today we have. And those chicken are not going to the garbage, going to yeshiva, so it's good to designate one per person. So, okay, so this is the idea of the.
So just one more question before you go on. You said that it's just a sign. So what's the purpose of showing your child who's 2 years old that sign? They're not going to understand it anyway.
Now we're going to another field. Do we promote the minhagim and all the custom to the Jewish children when they are not in the age of understanding what's going on? But we know that the Chachamim told us that since a very, very young age, the children are sponges and they absorb. And even things that are connected to consciousness and understanding, etc. But it will give them a certain trace in their brain from a very young age. That Rosh Hashanah, we eat dates. Rosh Hashanah, we have the pomegranate. And this itself makes a tremendous impact on the child, beyond logic, directly to his neshama. And more sometimes than the mitzvot of the Torah. Just those details of the Seder of Pesach, of the Seder of Rosh Hashanah, make an impact on the child more sometimes than the tzitzit of the Shema, etc. We see that from many aspects the night of Pesach. So that's why it's important to keep the children awake, and they should participate. Ask them, what did you learn at school? Do you know what we say on the apple? What do you know what we say on this? To give them, even if they don't understand, but give them. What do we eat after this? What do we eat after that? As much as they can, they answer. So this is so basically we were saying that it doesn't have a real impact. It's more a connection and a realization that we are in days of Yemei Teshuvah, or it reminds you what to pray for. This is the two ideas we had for the meals of Rosh Hashanah, for the food of Rosh Hashanah. On a mystical level, those food are very connected to things. I'm speaking of a surface level. Halacha and minhag, it's just a reminder. If you go into Kabbalah, you will see how every single vegetable and fruit is connected to a certain source of blessings and shefa that you need for the year. The apple, for example, is the symbol of sweet and chesed, of goodness and kindness. The apple is the fruit that always, in Kabbalah, Tapuchin Kadishin, we always refer it as the source of chesed. And dipping it in the honey it's coming from an animal which has some of bacteria in it, right? The honey has some bacteria in it. That's why we cannot give it to very young babies, right? So it's something that originally is not so sweet, but it became sweet through the transformation of the bee, etc. How the bee processes it. So this is also transformation of gvurot, of toughness, into chesed. So that's symbols that we transform. But this is already Kabbalistic and more mystical. Finally, I wanted to finish with The idea I mentioned, I don't know if you heard that already. I mentioned it last week at the breakfast. We pay attention that when Chaz v'Shalom people are facing a tragedy in the family, they lost a family member, so all of a sudden they come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, closer to Hashem, Teshuvah. And this is not only because they have to say Kaddish and the family wants that and the friends will wonder if they don't come to say it. It's not due to that. It's just for a very simple reason, that as long as the physical aspect and the spiritual aspect are merged and linked together, so we don't pay attention to the spiritual side of our life. We don't pay attention to our neshama. We are very busy with the guf. HaKadosh Baruch Hu placed the body like an envelope that covers completely the soul. So we wake up in the morning and you don't realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought back your neshama. You don't realize that at every single moment, every single breath is energy that Hashem brings into your body through the neshama. So who cares about the spirituality? I'm now busy making my business. I need to eat, I need to sleep, I need to take care of myself. And that's it. I could spend my whole life like this. But once there is the split, and here all of a sudden you see on someone you love that his neshama went to one direction and the body went to another direction. Here you realize that there is something beyond the body. Inside of the body was something that left. And that gives you to think, what I am doing with my neshama? Why I am here on earth? Just to eat and to spend time on the yachts, and this is it. That's just an animal. An animal does the same at his level. But I am a little more developed, so I do better things. I go on airplanes, I go on these, but what's the purpose of life? Do I bring my neshama to maximize my neshama to feel connected to its source, the original source of energy, the only true energy that exists, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And this is the person realize when he sees that split. So I was thinking that Yom Kippur also we have that. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us on Yom Kippur: fast, not to eat, not to drink. What happens when you don't drink, when you don't eat? You feel very weak. All of a sudden you feel that your body is starting to go out of the way, right? After 24 hours not eating, drinking, you come to Ne'ilah, you feel that your neshama start to leave your body, sort of saying. You have no energy. And here you feel the neshama could express itself more, because there is the split starts between the body and the soul. Te'anu et nafshotechem. The pasuk says you should make your life suffering a little bit, your soul suffering, by not eating, not drinking. But you could explain it a little different. Te'anu, milashon aniyah. Express. Give the soul to express itself. This on the day of Yom Kippur.
But your soul suffers when you don't eat. It's your body. It's your body that suffers when you don't eat, not your soul.
Right, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu refers to the energy that gives the life to the body. So the body, this is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu expresses itself. The body suffers, but the nefesh is the part which is linked in the body. So the idea is that the body suffers, and then the neshama could express itself. Te'anu et nafshotechem. Then the neshama could express itself, could feel the proximity, the closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the day of Yom Kippur. Because there is the split again. You realize, you understand, you're questioning yourself more on the day of Yom Kippur. Do I use my life in a meaningful way or not? That's the question that comes up to you at the time of Ne'ilah, at the time of Yom Kippur. Just like in the time of Alevaya, etc. Maybe that's what's happened also at the time of the Kapparot. When you see even a small bird, that the energy goes away, and now the body goes on a different direction, that gives you to think. Even as a bird, even a cat, that gives you to think. What's going on here?
Do they have a soul?
Of course. But a certain level, not a Jewish soul, not a nefesh elokit like we call it in Tanya in other places. But you see that there is something behind. There is a soul that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to every living animal. And at the end, the soul goes in one direction, the energy goes in one direction, and the body remains dead. And that gives you to think. So this is the same idea we discussed before. And by the way, the dinim of Avelut, a person during the 7 days of Avelut, has customs are very similar to Yom Kippur. No leather shoes, no washing, they don't take a shower. Yeah, maybe it's connected somehow. Teshuvah, that you start thinking about your life if you're using it in a meaningful way. This is when you're out of your comfort zone. When you are in the comfort zone, you're eating, you have your lunch, you have your business, and everything goes. So you start to forget because you're in the routine. But when you go out of your routine, you don't have your leather shoes, you don't take a shower, and all of a sudden Chaza Khalila, the person sees what end of life means, then you realize, do I use this energy that HaKadosh Baruch Hu planted in my body in a good way? This is also one of the explanation of the Minat Kaparot. Okay, so we'll finish with that. To summarize, we said the Simanim of Rosh Hashanah. On a basic level, there are the reminders maybe to ask for the good things on the night of Rosh Hashanah, to pray Hashem. So it's things that will remind you what to pray for, or will remind you that this period is serious period and you should do teshuvah. Yeah, we had 2 versions. And another version was maybe the bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Maharsha version. The bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give you a certain confidence that will push you to the success, will push you to the life, to the long life. And that's it. And then we had an explanation about common points between Avelut, Yom Kippur, Kaparot. When you see the split of energy and death, so then you realize that when they are merged together, when the body and the soul are merged together, you have to use it properly. That's the ideas we saw. Baruch Adonai L'Olam. Amen ve'amen.